Hi guys, welcome to the LIS5484 Introduction to Data Networks for Information Professionals. This is our first lecture, and the goal here is to not actually introduce any actual content, but just to explain to you how the course is going to be structured. So we're going to cover things such as the topics that we'll be covering in the course, what are our goals or objectives, the type of assignments that we're going to have, and how your grade is going to be calculated. So our meetings, by now you should know you have access to the Canvas course. So you know you have the URL that you need in order to access our Ultra Collaborate room, and our meetings will take place there on Mondays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So that's our outline. So instructor, a little bit about myself for those that do not know me, course logistics, how you can navigate in our course website, which is pretty straightforward. And in our next class, we're going to have an introduction to data networks, but this is not going to be covered in this video. It will be covered in our next meeting. So that's me, Diogo Oliveira. My email is diogo.oliveira@cci.fsu.edu. That is my office. I am at the Shores building. That's the same building where you have the iHub. I am at the second floor, so my office is 242D. I don't have fixed office hours, so you can get an appointment. So you can basically just email me, and then we'll arrange a meeting, which can be face-to-face. So as long as we get that meeting scheduled, I'll make sure that I'll be in my office at that scheduled time, so we can get a face-to-face meeting. But we can also get virtual meetings, whether you prefer to use Skype, Zoom, our Collaborate room, whatever you prefer. So a little bit about myself, my research background. As some of you know, I study database management systems. That's actually one of the courses that I teach. I teach under the LIS2780 undergrad course, but I also teach the LIS database management systems. That's a graduate level course. But my research focus mostly has been in cybersecurity and various sub-areas of cybersecurity, specifically survivability and disaster recovery. I also enjoy studying cyber early warning systems, or cyber EWS systems, or cyber attack EWS systems. Whatever you prefer to call it, you can find all those different nomenclatures out there. I'm also a very big fan of digital forensics, and I actually ended up studying cybersecurity because I come from the networking field. So network performance and optimization are also object of my studies as well. And related to those, because of how IT evolves, now we also have a few technologies, new or at least recent technologies, and I am also studying two of those, specifically SDN, or software defined networking, and NFV, network function virtualization. So in case you are attracted to any of these topics, you'd like to discuss a little bit about them, please feel free to talk to me. Okay, let's have a seat, let's sit down and talk a little bit about those. If you want to take a look at some of my publications, there is the link to my Google Scholar profile. Now, what is this course about? Well, this is an introductory to intermediate network communications course. It requires no experience in data transmission or data communication. So observe that although the goal here is to introduce you to network communications, going from the introductory level to an intermediate level, you do not have to have any previous knowledge in the area. We're going to go from scratch. We're going to go from the very basic concepts until we get to a intermediate level, in order to allow you to understand how communications actually work. So it really doesn't matter what you are studying or what you do at work. There is a very high probability that you are using data communication to do what you do on a daily basis. So even if you're not directly involved with IT, if you're not working in any of the IT areas or sub areas, you're most likely using IT resources such as a computer and network communication to access the public network or the internet, which means that you are leveraging what we are going to study here. So, therefore, as you can see, understanding at least the basic concepts, intermediate concepts of networking can help you on your daily tasks. So if you're having issues, for example, a very common complaint is, oh, the system is running slow. Well, we cannot state that it is related to how the network is performing actually, but if that's the case, you at least understand what might be causing that type of issue. Therefore, our learning objectives are listed here. So at the end of the course, the student will be able to analyze and explain the evolution of telecommunications networks, from the telegraph to currently emerging technologies, with a focus on the economic, legal, and policy issues driving the industry. Summarize and describe data in voice communications and telecommunication models, such as the OSI model and the TCP/IP stack, which is the internet model. Different topologies such as local area network, metropolitan area network, or worldwide area network. LAN, MAN, or WAN. We will also learn about protocols, standards, and architectures in use today. Obviously, to understand all these, we have to understand some other basic concepts. So what is a model? What is a telecommunication model? What is a topology? What is a protocol? What are standards? What are architectures? And then from there, understanding those concepts, we can move forward to learn about the different topologies, the different models, the different architectures, so forth, so on. It is also another objective to describe the functions of telecommunication standard bodies and various standards such as the ISO OSI and the IEEE 802 series standards and protocols. Obviously, probably the nomenclature here may be a little bit confusing at first because, like I said, there are some basic concepts that you need to previously understand before you actually discuss what the IEEE 802 series standards are, for example. We'll also discuss the concepts and the physical building blocks of data communication networks such as switches, routers, firewalls, and cabling. So as you can see here, now we're talking a little bit more about the physical solutions that allow us to deploy topologies, to deploy physical networks that will provide us with the capability of actually transmitting data. Describe logical elements such as algorithms and protocols used to establish communication between network devices and between multiple networks. So it's also our goal to understand how the logics, the programs, the code that are involved in order to allow different devices, remote connected devices, to communicate. So similarly to our verbal communication, we have to establish some rules in order to have a proper communication. So let's say if I'm talking and then there is many other people talking at the same time, the communication is not going to flow as proper as it should. So we have to work on that. We have to establish some rules to allow me to communicate properly so that I can communicate and people can understand myself. The same thing goes for data communication. Rules are required to be established in order to allow this communication to happen properly. Okay, we will also define the characteristics and nomenclature of various wireless protocols and devices, explain why different technologies are deployed in different contexts of networking, considering factors such as topology, bandwidth, distance, application, and number of users. So we have to understand that depending on the scenario, depending on the situation, we may have different possibilities, and how to determine which of those possibilities is the best one, or at least the most proper one, will depend on that scenario. And that scenario can be defined by a number of factors, such as you can see here, topology, bandwidth, distance between the nodes, the communicating nodes, and number of users. Also demonstrate proficiency in IP management, including subnetting and supernetting. That is also a required topic in order to properly understand how nodes, devices can communicate in the public network or in a local network. Demonstrate the ability to perform basic troubleshooting operations on LANs, WANs, and connected devices, and to analyze network traffic and behavior. Describe various information security practices and methods for mitigating network threats. So observe that we are going to touch, and I'm saying touch, in some concepts and techniques involving information security. Discuss the use and management implications of telecommunications networks, including security, technical staff recruitment, and professional development. Design a multi-layer Ethernet LAN, incorporating and comparing other network topologies as needed. So observe that by the end of this course, you should be able to plan how to deploy a network, or at least you should be able how to design the topology of a Ethernet local area network. Now, as far as the book goes, well, actually I have to fix it because the second one is not required, it's actually optional. So the books, required one, and this is a required textbook. CompTIA Network Plus Study Guide, authorized courseware. So that's the information that I have about this textbook from Todd Lemley, and that's the ISBN. It's optional, but if you'd like to, you can also get the Unix and Linux Visual Quick Start Guide 4th edition by Deborah Ray. Again, this is not a required textbook. This is optional. However, you're going to see that you're going to have some Linux assignments. You have to, whenever you're studying networking, you want to learn how to use the Unix or Linux operating systems. So you have to shift away from the Windows environment. If you are a Mac user, you have to understand that Mac OS X or iOS, the Mac operating systems, are actually Unix systems, which means that a bunch of stuff that you're going to learn when doing these Unix assignments can be applied to the macOS environment as well. In addition to the textbook material, references to additional reading materials such as articles, white papers, case studies, and so many other things, resources, will be posted on the course website. Of course, if that's the case, whenever that happens, I'll let you know. I'll send an announcement. Okay, as far as grading. So the cumulative grade consists of the following graded items. You're going to have participation and discussion that corresponds to 10% of your grade. So this is your grade breakdown, right? 10% of it will be composed of your participation and discussion. And that's obviously in our weekly meetings. You also have, as I mentioned, some Unix exercises, Unix assignments. Now, although I realize that for most of you, the Linux or Unix environment, operating system, is something brand new and at the same time challenging, you should not be concerned about it, because you are going to have a tutorial will be handed to you so that you can achieve that goal. So it's not going to be like, I'm not going to ask you in an assignment, an Unix assignment, I'm not going to ask you, hey, how do you do this in a Linux system? No. I will actually ask you, hey, can you please do this? Now, in order to do this, here are the steps, okay? You also have quizzes that will correspond to 20%, individual papers that will correspond to another 20%, and the group industry analysis corresponding to 15%. So as you can see, you're going to have most of the assignments are going to be individual assignments, but you also have group assignments as well. And when I create at the right time, I'll let you know. I'll explain how the groups will be created so that you can start working with your peers. So, as far as the group assignment, the group design project, which will correspond, I'm sorry, so actually I forgot to mention. So as you can see here, we have 20% plus 10% plus 20 plus 20, so we have 50%, and then plus the individual papers, that's 70%, the group individual analysis project, that's 15%, so 85, and then the final group project, other 15%, that will accumulate to your total grade, total and final grade. So in this final group assignment, the group will have to design a LAN for a fictitious network, including network switches, routers, firewalls, and other infrastructure, network addresses to create multiple VLANs, a mixture of desktop operating systems, a web server, and file and print services, and file/print server. Obviously, once again, this is not something that you're capable of doing right now, or at least you're not expected to be able to do such, but this is going to be a development project. We're going to learn all these topics here step by step so that when we get to the point where the group will have to put together this solution, you'll be able to. You have seen it. You have learned it. Now, and then finally, you also have the discussion. In the discussions link in Canvas, you're going to have different discussion boards to help you with throughout this semester. So first of all, you have the Introduce Yourself discussion board, which I believe that by now you already saw it and posted a little bit about yourself. So that's the introduction discussion board. We will also have the faculty office discussion board that you can basically send questions to me, or when I need to post something there. The personal website, and obviously at the right time, I will explain what this discussion board is about. Also, and finally, the projects discussion boards, so that you can discuss, first of all, among your group among the group members. So you can talk about your project, how to solve it, whatever you need to discuss. But you can also interact with others or other group members. Use for all asynchronous communication unless the topic is private. Make the subject line as explicit as possible. So just two important observations here to guide you whenever you are using the discussion board. So this is how our course is going to be structured. Please feel free to revise this presentation and send me questions in case you didn't properly understand some of those topics that's been presented here. And obviously, you can always ask these questions in class as well. So thank you very much. Once again, my name is Diogo Oliveira, and I see you in our next meeting. Bye-bye.